señora Ursula von der Leyen.
With this one decision, Ursula von der Leyen has passed a sentence on Polish and European agriculture. The Mercosur agreement has been signed. Soon, our markets will be flooded with products that we need to be very cautious about, products stuffed with chemicals that are banned in EU countries. But the head of the European Commission, of course, considers this a success.
The symbol of a new partnership between Mercosur and Europe. And this deal has been in the making since 25 years. Many hands have worked tirelessly. It has survived changes of government.
This is a blow aimed primarily at Polish farmers and Polish family farms. Today is a day of reckoning for European agriculture. The agreement with the Mercosur countries was signed by Ursula von der Leyen. It was pushed through despite huge protests from farmers, in violation of all principles of the rule of law. Ursula von der Leyen got her way. German interests have won today in the European Union, and this is a huge warning for the whole of Europe. Large-scale farms in South America, in which German and Dutch food companies have stakes and have struck gold, that is, the wallets of European consumers.
Mercosur y la Unión Europea.
This is a historic day, one we have been eagerly awaiting. Our markets are being connected today, which proves that this is the right path for cooperation between our continents and countries. Brussels is opening its markets to South American food in much the same way as it opened its borders to illegal immigrants. No controls, no plan, no safety rules, just German dictates. Once again, this experiment cannot end well. EU farmers, including Poles who have been protesting for months, feel betrayed by the Brussels elite and left-wing liberal politicians, including Donald Tusk, who did not side with them but defended an agreement favorable to Berlin and Brussels. The agreement with Mercosur countries signed today in Paraguay is a celebration for South American farmers, Western European corporations, and the German automotive industry, in exchange for opening EU markets to food products of questionable quality from Uruguay, Brazil, and Colombia. German cars will flood the roads there. Polish farmers were in Brussels, and this week they will be in Strasbourg. They have also been demonstrating for many days in cities, towns, and villages throughout Poland. There was a protest in Warsaw, and there are local demonstrations, but Donald Tusk remains unmoved. Polish and European farmers are still seeking salvation in the Court of Justice of the European Union. Law and Justice is submitting a motion for the Polish Sejm to adopt a resolution that would force Tusk's government to challenge the Mercosur agreement. There will also be a vote in the European Parliament, but it is dominated by left-wing liberal forces. National parliaments will also vote on Mercosur, but farmers have already been disappointed more than once by Donald Tusk's coalition. The second violation of Polish airspace in a month. Over 50 balloons from Belarus flew into Poland. A parking lot near the Białystok branch of the illegally seized Polish television in liquidation, and the regional prosecutor's office in Białystok. This is where one of over 50 balloons from Belarus landed at night. The police say they are smuggling balloons. On January 16th, before 9 p.m., the police received information from the Armed Forces Operational Command about unidentified flying objects, most likely smuggling balloons, that flew into Polish airspace from Belarus. Approximate locations in the Podlaskie and Lubelskie voivodeships were indicated, and the information was forwarded to the relevant local police units. Last night, the debris of the balloons, along with cigarettes without Polish excise stamps, was secured by police officers in Białystok and the Sokulski district. However, experts have no doubts. These are not ordinary balloons. These are probes from an enemy state, probes from a state that is conducting an operation in agreement and cooperation cooperation with Russia and Belarus. What we observed last night and what TV Republica is obviously reporting is nothing more than a continuation of the hybrid war that Minsk declared on Warsaw even before the full-scale invasion by the Russian Federation, when migrants were used in this war in 2021. It is true that boxes of cigarettes and GPS locators were attached to the balloons, but this is a cover for the objectives of Russia and Belarus. This is an operation carried out by the Russian Federation and Belarus, and this smuggling is being used here as a cover. It's time to simply ask questions. Hello, Mr. Siemoniak. Hello, Mr. Tusk. Serious things are happening here, and it is simply your responsibility. How did it happen that a balloon, to which explosives could have been attached, flew into a city of nearly 300,000 people? Until now, they have flown into, let's say, sparsely populated areas. But at this point, it's really a different matter. We are dealing with a completely different situation. I also wonder on what basis someone made the decision to allow this object to fly over a large city. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk's government remained silent on the balloon raid. The procedures did not work entirely. The lack of any real response from the military to this incident for the second, third, and fourth time does not inspire optimism. Ladies and gentlemen, this was not a coincidence. Only a few reports from the Polish border guard and the police have appeared on the internet. Officers from the Podlasie Border Guard unit have uncovered more packages containing illegal cigarettes. They were smuggled from Belarus to Poland using weather balloons. Efforts are underway to identify those involved in sending and receiving the illegal shipments. We remind you and urge you to be cautious. Last night, 2 balloons with cigarettes without Polish excise stamps were discovered in Białystok and in the Sokolski district. If you see a suspicious package or balloon with cargo, do not approach or touch it. Call 112. Let us remind you that this is not 1 or 2, but over 50 balloons, which are used, among other things, to test Polish air defense and for military reconnaissance. The balloons, still not all of them, were found in the Podlasie towns of Kraśniany, Woroniany, Machnacz, Smolanka, Słoiniki, and Białołusy. In my opinion, the services have no idea what is actually happening behind our eastern border with Belarus. My question is, do we even have any intelligence gathering information, for example, behind our eastern border, about what is happening in Belarus and who is actually responsible for it? Balloons are a sophisticated type of weapon. Their appearance does not automatically trigger military procedures. One balloon collects information that is crucial for the security of the Polish state. This information goes directly to the desks of the most important officials in Moscow or Minsk. It allows us to test radars, passive sensors, detection response, and decision-making time. GPS is not only used to find cigarettes, it is also used to record the route, altitude, drift of the object, and points of detection loss. This is nothing more than testing the readiness of our armed forces, testing the state's response, and in our opinion, at least such incidents will continue to occur. As soon as our television station received the first reports of the airstrike, we launched a special broadcast. We have breaking news. But for both the government and the government media, there are no talks about the incident. The National Security Bureau reports that Polish President Karol Nawrocki is receiving full updates on the air raid from Belarus. Polish President Karol Nawrocki is being kept informed by the head of the National Security Bureau, Minister Sławomir Cęckiewicz, about the course and effects of the nighttime entry of several dozen objects from the territory of Belarus. The National Security Bureau monitored this event throughout the night, collecting and analyzing information obtained from military and civilian institutions, as in the case of the incident on the night of December 24th into December 25th, 2025, when 59 objects flew into Polish airspace from Belarus. The National Security Bureau does not rule out that this is a provocation under the guise of smuggling. The last such serious raid was on Christmas Day, when nearly 60 balloons entered our country. In September, Poland was attacked by more than 20 drones. Did Donald Tusk's government and its services learn anything from this? And can the Polish people feel safe? We leave the answer to you. Another day of protests and pressure surrounding Iran has passed. Burned buses, destroyed cars, streets resembling a battlefield. Behind these images lie the stories of families trying to find their loved ones amid the chaos of the protests. One of them is the story of Rubina Aminyan, a student who, according to her family, was killed by a bullet fired by Iranian security forces, hitting her in the back of the head at close range. Her death was only the beginning of the tragedy. I knew that inaction would never bring her the future she dreamed of. She took to the streets unarmed, with only her own voice. She wanted freedom. She died on her way to a better life. The girl's mother searched the overcrowded morgues, unzipping body bags one after another. When she found her daughter, the family, fearing the authorities, buried her in a hurry in an unmarked grave by the roadside. To this day, there has been no funeral. There are thousands of such stories. Human rights organizations speak of tens of thousands of detainees and an ever-growing number of victims. The regime is announcing further trials, while at the same time planning to cut off the internet almost completely. Only people verified by the state will have access.
Down with dictator! Down with... Islamic Republic is close to collapse. Ali Khamenei and his thugs know this. That's why they are lashing out like a wounded animal, desperate to cling to power. The people have not retreated. Their determination has made one thing clear. They are not merely rejecting this regime, they are demanding a credible new path forward.
Pressure is also mounting outside Iran. In the United States, the diaspora is demanding that the White House draw new red lines for Tehran.
The message here is keep pressure on Iran, and what's really important is, as the vigil tonight is calling for, is all political prisoners need to be free. So President Trump should set that as a new red line to have the Iranian regime release 50,000 protesters, peaceful protesters that were arrested by the regime.
The American president says that the pressure has already had an effect and that the announced executions have been suspended.
You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone, they canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
The regime in Tehran denies that it has bowed to pressure and accuses Washington of instigating the protests. Iran's supreme leader has reacted most strongly. We hold the U.S. president responsible for the casualties and destruction. This rebellion was American. The U.S. goal is to swallow Iran. What's more, the regime insists that the executions will go ahead regardless of American warnings. It is unclear whether this is a real threat or a narrative for domestic consumption. Even if we do exactly the same thing in a few months, it will not have the same effect. If we do it in 2 or 3 months, it will no longer be as effective. The United States maintains that all options remain on the table. More American units are heading to the region, including aircraft carrier strike groups. This is a signal that Washington is ready to act if the regime breaks its promises, especially on executions. The authorities are cracking down on the streets and cutting the country off from the world. The United States is responding by concentrating its forces and warning of a military response. Iran is now faced not with the question of if, but what price it will pay for the authorities' next decisions. The peace plan for Gaza is entering its second phase. It will be a winding road. The Middle East still has many ups and downs ahead, but the Americans are already succeeding in the Israeli-Palestinian peace process in a way that many doubted. Today, on behalf of President Trump, we are announcing the launch of Phase 2 of the president's 20-point plan to end the Gaza conflict, moving from ceasefire to demilitarization, technocratic governance, and reconstruction. In Gaza, fear mixes with hope. Fear caused by the distrust of America instilled here, but increasingly also of Hamas, desperate terrorists who are losing control. The effect of Hamas's loss of influence was the recent public executions of those who refused to submit to their authority. We hope that peace will prevail and the borders will open. Our homes and our cities are destroyed. No one here can bear it anymore. The terrorist group Hamas does not control the entire Gaza Strip. Under the terms of the agreement, the Israeli army has withdrawn behind the so-called Yellow Line and currently governs more than half of the territory, including the city of Rafah. The reconstruction of the Gaza Strip will be handled by a 15-member Palestinian technocratic committee composed of experts. According to the plan developed by the World Bank and the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, the reconstruction will proceed in 3 phases. First, emergency aid needed by residents here and now. Second, reconstruction. And third, reconstruction and development. The Palestinian team will in turn be supervised by the Peace Council for the Gaza Strip, headed by U.S. President Trump and including leading American figures, but not only.
But essentially, it's the most important leaders of the most important nations. All nations, but the most important, you take the most important leaders and nations, that's who the border peace is going to be. Everybody wants to be on it.
Among them are Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, Ajay Banga, the President of the World Bank, and Nikolai Mladenov, a Bulgarian politician and former UN envoy to the Middle East. The peace plan, which includes the disarmament of Hamas, the introduction of new authorities in the Gaza Strip, and its reconstruction, is scheduled to take several years. It was prepared by the U.S. administration at the request of Donald Trump and has been approved by the UN Security Council, as well as by the Israelis and Palestinians.